Hello and welcome, everyone, to the explanation of Rising the Awakened Dragon. Now, how do we play this game? What do we do here? Well, we're going to start off with what are known as tokens. These are, you get 20 of them, or 19, and you get to distribute them between 9 easy-to-understand stats. Starting from top to bottom, in our strength category, we have hit points, attack, and defense. Simple enough to understand. If you put 0 in HP, you have 1 HP, no matter what level you're at, until you actually put something in HP. For attack and defense, if you put 0 in them, you just have 0 in that stat, and you have no level up growths for it. So for HP, as well as another stat we're going to see later, 1 point into it equals 5 starting HP and 1 extra HP on level up. With 1 token at level 1, you're going to have 5 health, level 2 you're going to have 6, level 3 you're going to have 7, and so on and so forth. Whereas with 4 tokens, you're going to start off with 20 HP, go up to 24, 28, and so on and so forth. With attack power, it's a simple 1-to-1, but each one also only contributes to 20%, a 20% chance to level up. Well, how do you determine that? We're going to get to that later on when we actually deal with level ups. With that being said, we'll move on to our next category, intelligence. And for there, we have MP, which is actually decided very similarly to HP, but if you put 0 in there, you have 0 MP. And again, don't gain any via level up. You also have magic attack and magic defense. Again, fairly simple to understand, much like attack and defense. If you put 1 in, that means you only can level up once out of the 5 levels in your so-called level schedule. Again, we'll get to that later. But what you need to know is all skills require MP. All of them. Is it a physical skill where you use your hammer to cause an earthquake? It's still going to cost a number of MP. Is it a skill where you, I don't know, smack someone twice in a row? Still going to cost MP. So with this, we're going to move on to our final set of 3 statistics. That's going to be skill. And that has idea points, which is an interesting one. It only goes up by 1 per token amount. That is to say, if you put 5 tokens into it, you start off with 5 idea points, and it goes up by 5 each level up. Whereas the same would be with 1, giving you 1 idea point to start with and 1 per level up. You also have speed, which determines your accuracy and movement speed on the battlefield. If you put 5 tokens into it, you can move 5 squares. If you put 3, you can move 3. Each square is meant to be an arbitrary amount, but by default, I guess it would be 10 feet rather than your usual 5. With luck being the last one here, it directly counters speed. It essentially is just your evasion, but it could also mean literal luck. Let's move on to races then. So with this, there's quite a few races. Let's start off with the obvious, human. This means any sort of humanoid thing. The literal bar here is the apes from Planet of the Apes. If they are less human than that, then they count as something else. But if they're more human looking than that, then they count as human. That means elves, dwarves, halflings, gnomes, goblins, orcs even. You get the point. They're a very nice one because they get 2 token points to put wherever they want, giving you a total of 20 as opposed to 19 or 18. You could just easily make a flying variant that only chooses 1 if you're going with, say, angels or something. If your setting wants to have very humanoid demons, that too. There's also dragons, which constitutes anything scaly. That would be anything with scales and that doesn't have feathers, so a snake-like creature, a naga-like creature, a kobold-like creature, all of those would still count. And those get magic defense and speed, but they only get the speed one if they are flightless, that is, with no wings and no actual way to fly. Up next are phoenixes, those being anything just having feathers, of course. And anything from your standard chicken-like creature to an actual phoenix to a penguin-like thing, or an ostrich, that sort of thing, it all counts. They actually get speed, with the flightless ones getting an idea point token as well. Next are the Dracovians, which are anything with both scales and feathers. Like, say, a feathered raptor, for instance, just a dragon with some feathery components to them. Those all work. They have a varying feather to scale ratio, so as long as they just have both feathers and scales, it would count as this. They actually get a speed token or magic defense, and flightless ones get an extra attack. And again, flightless just means unable to fly, for wings being too small, wings being non-existent, that sort of thing. After this, we have griffins. That should be self-explanatory what those are. They don't have to be the exact, kind of lion plus eagle. They could be any sort of bird plus cat, and it would still work. And they get an attack token, with ones that cannot fly for whatever reason also getting an HP token. Right after this are slimes. Slimes just look, basically, they're a bit of a shapeshifter. They take whatever shape they please, but they just have one solid color. And the thing is, they can't usually fly at all. Thus, they don't technically have a flying variant by default, but you can always make one. That's what homebrewing is for. They have an HP token and a defense token from all this. So there is that. Up next, we have chimeras as an option. These are a mix of anywhere between 2 and 3 different kinds of creatures. They could be literally anything. They could look like just about anything, for better or worse. They, like humans, actually get 2 tokens to put wherever they want. However, if they can fly, they only get 1 token to put wherever they want. Which is, it makes them versatile, I guess. Right after this, we have antherians. These are just your miscellaneous mammals. They could be basically any non-human mammal. Like I said, with the bar being, is it less human or as human as the apes from Planet of the Apes? This is the other thing I was talking about. If it is supposed to be ape-based and in your mind it just sort of looks like a human with a bit of extra hair, then, well, it just counts as human. So antherians gain 1 extra luck, and if they can't fly, 1 extra token to put wherever they want. After that, we have the golems. These are basically just human-shaped creatures made entirely out of inorganic matter. It could be anything from leaves to plastic to clouds to rocks to even wood. Even though I know leaves and wood aren't technically inorganic, it's still not, what a normal thing would be made out of, other than like a plant, I guess. They get an extra attack token and an extra defense token. And they're quite large. It can be up to like 15 feet tall, as opposed to some of these being around human-sized unless otherwise noted. Now, with golems, they actually do have a sort of core to them. This core is supposed to be sort of their vulnerable point. And like I said, they can be made out of basically anything you want. So there is that. That is all of the races. So, on the next topic, we have ideas and idea points. So, what are those exactly? Idea points allow you to create skills. They allow you to make better skills, improve the skills you have, or you can just take away a point from a skill, make it a little worse, and just have one banked. You can take away a skill's idea point cost or investment until it only has one left, or add to it until it has 3 in it. An example of a 1 idea point skill would just be, oh, I want my basic punch attack, but I want it to occasionally, cause the opponent to be stunned. Okay, that means they'll flip a coin to see, oh, is it heads, is it tails? Oh, got stunned this time, okay. And that punch will cost about 3 MP. That is a 1 IP, 3 MP skill. Now, obviously, you're going to want to bargain or talk with your game master, and hopefully you have a good one, but most tabletops are kind of like that. Bad game master ruins everything. But with this, talk to your game master, tell them how many points you want to spend, and tell them the general law of what you would like to do with this skill. Like I said, 1 IP point, I want to be able to stun people with my punch. Okay, cool. That'll be 3 MP, it'll be a coin flip on it if they are not weak to or strong against stun. 2 idea points, maybe it's a stun and it lowers defense or something. Lowers defense by -1 until they have 0 defense or until they have -1 defense or something. Cool, there's your 2 idea points, still 3 MP skill. How about a 3 IP one? Okay, well, with that, the punch now stuns, lowers defense, and it also has, it also gains an extra attack point every time you use it. That is to say, use it 8 times, then for a little while, that skill will have an extra 8 attack tacked onto it. It's not the most cost-effective thing, and since for 2 MP or 1 MP, you can add 1 or 2 damage to any attacking skill. So, that's why you don't just have straight, oh, I want this skill to have an extra 2 attack power. Well, okay, you can already do that by default. No ideas needed for that. And here's the thing, as long as your game master is okay with it, you can make a skill do basically anything. You want to light your fangs on fire for an attack even though you don't actually have fire magic elsewhere? Sure. Temporarily change the element to fire from piercing and costs 1 MP because they don't have a lot of MP on their character. Done deal. Just as another example, I guess. You want your character to be a wrestler and, his main thing is just he can suplex an enemy to keep them restrained for a little bit and also deal damage to them based on, their own weight as told by Dungeon Master. Well, there you go. All done. Easy. Crazy, right? In any case, our next topic is going to be equipment quality. These are actually kind of like the idea point of your stuff. Just your basic stuff. Is it a pendant? Sure, it can have an equipment quality. Is it... It's just you do need to find better ones with more equipment quality or make them depending on how, the whole campaign is going. But how do you get them? How do you start with them? Well, it is a simple luck roll. Yep, based on your amount of luck tokens, you would roll a 20-sided die, as is natural, I suppose, with less than 11, that is 1 through 10, being one item with just one equipment quality. Now, all of these are just going to have one equipment quality, they're going to be separate items, so you can give them things to improve upon, or just, if they're missing a thing, give them a thing with equipment quality that they wouldn't have had. 11 to 15 would be 2 items with 1 equipment quality each. 16 to 19 is 3 items with 1 equipment quality, whereas 20 and over gives 4 items with 1 equipment quality. And as has been said, you can basically do anything, make a passive effect, make a thing that gives you a skill even. That's completely possible. Again, you do have to sort of barter with the Game Master, but this shouldn't be too much of a problem. Now, before I go on much further, I should probably communicate a few things. So, your character is going to have strengths and weaknesses, right? It's what two of the sections actually are for. One of these is for elemental strengths and weaknesses, and the 13 elements available are fire, water, air, earth, lightning, nature, ice, lava or steel, light, dark, art, void, and finally chaos. Of course, physical is actually an option on a 0.5 resistance or a 1.5 weakness. Those two weaknesses and resistances are things you have to opt out of, whereas the others, 4 times a week, 2 times a week, times -1 and times 0 are unfortunately kind of mandatory in a way. You can have them sort of cancel each other out, get rid of your 4x weakness for having no times -1, having no times 2 weakness for the having no times 0, so you can just make a character with no strengths or weaknesses. Beyond that as well, there are 13 statuses, and you'll have to choose 2 of these to be strong against and 2 of these to be weak against. In this case, it's not that they have double the effect or anything, it's just, while a normally effective status would be down to a coin flip, a status you are weak to, there is no coin flip, it just happens. A status you are strong to, there is no coin flip, you're just strong against it. Now, that being said, the statuses are stunned, in which you cannot act or move but can still evade, paralyzed, whereas you can still use ranged attacks but cannot evade or move, burned, which has you constantly take fire-based damage, which ignores your resistances to it but not an immunity. You also lose 1 point of attack power while burned. There's also frozen, which while under this effect you can't move, act, or evade, you would obviously gain a temporary resistance to ice magic, and a temporary immunity to fire magic, with fire magic also removing the effect. Otherwise it would only last for 1d4 turns, that's anywhere from 1 to 4. Charmed, while under this effect, you would move towards the one who did this to you, acting only to attack anyone who gets in their way. When you get there, rather, you will do nothing. You will not act, you will not move. This again lasts for 1d4 turns, or until you would take 50% of your health in physical damage. There's also asleep. This one pretty obvious, you can't act, move, or evade. You do gain temporary resistance to light magic though, because your eyes are closed, obviously. And a temporary resistance to dark magic because, again, eyes are closed. So let's see, the next one would be poisoned. While you're under this effect, you lose 1 HP in nature damage, obviously negating resistance but not immunity. You also lose 1 point in magic attack while poisoned. Obviously lasts until cured or any other obvious thing. Cursed. While under this effect, you'll lose 25% of your MP per turn, whether or not you actually use it. You'll also become vulnerable to both light and dark magic while under this effect. This effect lasts until cured or until you run out of MP. blinded. While under this effect, the victim's physical attacks will always miss, and their magic attacks have a disadvantage, which is described as rolling 2d20s and taking the lower result. After that, you have Afraid, which, while you're under that effect, you cannot act and have to use your movement to get away from whatever just made them afraid. We have Possessed, that while under that effect, they'll act as if they're being controlled by whoever did this. If it's an enemy, that means the game master will temporarily control your character, which I'm not usually for, but hey, it is temporary. It only lasts for up to 1d10 turns, huh? Well, in any case, it could also be dismissed or cured by, obviously, light magic. There's also Taunted, and while under this effect, they will only use skills that deal damage and will only target the one who actually taunted them, no matter how much or little damage they're actually doing. It lasts for up to 6 turns, or until whoever taunted them was knocked out. And last but not least is Confused. While under this effect, the victim will move randomly. This would be rolling a d8 and mapping each direction to a number, and they will attack anything that happens to be near. Thankfully, their attacks have disadvantage because they'll likely be attacking their teammates. This effect will last until they take 25% of their health in physical damage, or until it ends after up to 6 turns. And that is it for the 13 statuses. Some can be kind of nasty. Now, moving on with character creation, we have tastes. What are those? Simple. 5 categories of flavors and 5 different dice to assign. You have spicy, sweet, sour, savory, and bitter as different tastes to assign. So, think about what your character would like when you're assigning the 5 dice to the 5 categories. And the lowest end, something your character hates, is where you would put your d4. Something your character doesn't quite like, you'd put your d6 in. Something your character's okay with, that'd be the d8. It's kind of the middle of the road one. Something your character likes, that would be a d10, and something they really like would be a d12. So let's say your character drinks a lot of tea for some reason. They just love tea, they just constantly drink it. Well, that would probably count under bitter. They would have a quote-unquote refined palate and would put a d12 in bitter, probably a d10 in sweet, since some teas are sweet. Beyond that, just as well, there are tiers to food and drink. Now, why food and drink? Well, food heals HP, whereas drinks heal MP. So if you're drinking, say, I don't know, a beer or an alcoholic beverage of any kind, that would probably count as a bitter that heals your MP. There's also tiers, right? So tiers are just that. The tier of the food determines how many of the respective dice you roll. Say, for instance, this is a tier 5 bitter food. It's really bitter. It's really good, but really bitter. Your character doesn't like bitter for this case. Well, you would roll your 5d4s. Still might heal a little bit better than the tier 1 gas station hot dog, even though your character actually likes savory. But still would be comparable in their minds, which is honestly kind of funny, but I mean, probably true to some people. So with that, we have tastes mostly covered, I suppose. Oh wait, no. Actually, there's also snacks. Snacks are a different category altogether. They are a different tier. They heal 1, 2, or 3 per individual eaten in a turn, and you can eat up to 20 of them, but they are untiered. They only heal that exact amount. 1 if you don't like them, if it's a flavor that's a D4 or a D6. 2 if you're meh on it, that's if it's a D8. and 3, if you like it, that's being a D10 or a D12. Thus, that'll be things like your spicy chips and your sour Skittles or something like that. Just like bags of lots of things that you just shove all at once, just to get immediate effects, essentially. So with that would be finally the end of tastes. Before I let you go, there is just one last thing. The level up schedule. It's kind of simple, kind of complicated. Basically, it goes from levels 1 to 5, and for every 1 token you put in a thing, you can put it in one place on your level up schedule. You can't double up on stats, and level 1, which you get immediately upon finishing your character sheet, can only have 3 categories in it at level 1. You unlock a 4th category there at level 5, a 5th at level 10, and a 6th at level 15. Once you reach level 5, you get a new token to put somewhere, anywhere on your stats, and it goes back to level 1 on the next level. Basically, at level 6, you level up what you have leveled up at level 1, level 7, what you got at level 2, and so on and so forth. Just over and over again. There is technically no final level. There is no last level in this, unlike in, say, D&D, where you kind of just play to level 20. For this, you could play as long as you want, get as many levels as you want, and it's all good. That'll actually do it for our character creation video. Up next, we're going to have a video centered around combat mechanics. Hope to see you then.